This is day 3 on this new old stock Lasko 3733 from 1999 project. Today we're going to focus on the switch. Yesterday I attempted to repair the switch again. I took the switch apart, I bent all the contacts into the most logical place I could think of, and then I put a pretty generous amount of glue all around the outside, and then I clamped it shut. And the glue said it takes 12 to 24 hours to cure, and we're in like 22 hours right now, so I think that it's safe to say the glue is probably cured. Plus it's so warm and dry down here, it should be fine. So everything looks decent. We have we can see the contacts there. See the contacts here, so it looks like it should be fine. The only problem we might have is with this contact here, because that one I could not get quite into position where I wanted it, and you can see it's not really, well, you can't see it because it's not in the focus. You can see it's not quite as good as the other one, but I think it might work. So let's begin by installing the switch. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the switch in first, and then I will connect the wires. I'm going to try to turn the switch only using the top part, because I don't want to put any force on the glue. So I'm going to try to snap it in place just using the top. What I might have to do is take a large adjustable wrench and slip it in that way. Perfect. So now it's in place. The only problem is I think I got it backwards because the wires need to be on the other side, so we just need to change it 180 degrees like this. Okay, so the switch is in place. Now let's connect the wires and see what we get here. So we know that these wires stick in here like this. That seems pretty good. Everything made decent contact. And now on this side we have, this should be our trouble one if we have any issues. No, it actually did grab. Well, everything grabbed, so it looks copacetic. This wire is not sitting quite the way that I would like it to. This is solid wire in here, it's not stranded, so I want to be careful where and how we bend that, because it can break eventually if we keep flexing it too much in the wrong ways. Alright, I think that I've got it. Let's see. I really think that I got it this time. Well, I didn't get it. I bet it's that high side contact. Almost certain that that's what it is. Yep, it's the high side contact. It's just not quite right. I knew if there was going to be a problem, that's where it would be. You know what I might be able to do to fix that is, so what I do is I just pulled it back a little bit. I might be able to bend the wire in half and then retin it so it's got a bigger surface area to grab. I think that would solve the problem. But I do feel now that I fixed the switch, which is great. And there was some comments about the switch. People saying, "Oh, I just throw them out," or "It's broken. Ugh. If it didn't work, just throw it out." No, if it doesn't work, you take note of the way that you found that didn't work, and then you try something else, and you keep doing that until you find what works. That's how you learn. If everybody just says, "Oh, I give up," and everybody would be stupid. So the medium is still garbage. The heck? Wow, that sounds awful. The high seemed pretty good to me today. Yep. I'd say that's 100%. They're close to it. Very, very close. The high is good. And the low is good. You know what, I'm going to go grab the other one just so we can have a comparison. Actually, I'm not going to grab the other one because the other one is so messed up with the switch. I'm going to grab the one that belonged to my grandfather because that one is in good shape still. I'm going to grab that one and I'll be right back. So this is the one that my grandfather used at his house. And so of course it's pristine in the box. Unfortunately he kept it in the attic. And so the handle and everything is yellowed. It works. And these I think are the original legs, and they're obscenely yellowed as well. So let's get a baseline from this one. The switch I think is working properly in this one still. This one does not have a whole lot of hours on it. That's 1.1 amps. I'm going to write this down. That's 1.45. working power. Now let's test them both at the same time. This one is running slower, and the power draw is a tick below. This is only 1.05 amps. It's a little bit slower. Medium obviously is no comparison. The high, that's 1.97 as opposed to 2.02, so it's not that far off. The bearings on this one sound horrible. It shouldn't sound like that. I really do think that this is bearing driven. There's one other thing that we can try. The only thing I can think of is that, now this one almost is not a good comparison because this blade has been sitting in the attic, whereas the one that I had at my house, the blade was never in the attic that I know of. This blade is very strong. Let's just see what this blade is like. I really don't think that there's anything wrong with the blades. I can tell this blade is a little bit yellowed. I still think it's bearing driven because it's it did improve with the servicing, and it's very much speed related. The effects of the medium winding are drastically greater than the other two speeds. Maybe this blade wants to come off of here. I guess they're about the same. What? It was the blade? Hold on. Turn back on. We're in the middle of an important test here. Running faster. Well, I guess I have not successfully fixed the switch yet. not expecting that. This just gets weirder and weirder as time goes on. The medium is slower. As opposed to 2.02. So that's concrete evidence that this blade is putting more load on the motor. Median before we had 1.45, and now we only have 1.41. That doesn't make any sense. And on low before we had 1.1, and now we have 1.05. So only on high, it's going up. This has no rhyme or reason to it at all. That's full power, 100%. It's not quite there, but it's very close, much closer than it was before. That's just a hair slow. The bearings definitely don't sound good though. Something's still up with the bearings. It's a little bit slow. But the high, that's all there. This blade runs slowly. Will this also tip over now? Right, it tip over. So I wonder if this blade, having been stored in perfect conditions over the years, is has more pitch, or maybe these old ones are starting to warp a little bit, or I don't know. I'm starting to think that our problems might be somewhat blade driven. This blade certainly fits on the shaft a lot tighter. Oh, I meant to look at that before I put it back. The shape is different. Oddly enough, if anything, it looks like the one on the left is warped, but that's the older, or the one that's never been used. There's not a lot of difference in the shape. How about in the stiffness? I don't know. There's definitely a difference in the quality. You can see this blade is all very poorly molded on the edges. All the blades are like that. And then this one is pretty much perfect. Well, the mystery continues. See how loose that blade is on there? It's definitely changing. I think probably from sitting in the attic. I think high and low are reasonable. It's the medium that's screwed up, which is what we always see. This is how I remember it. It has that like really meaty sound to it. Okay, so now they're running at I think they're running at about the same RPMs. But this one has a different sound to it. This one has that very annoying kind of high frequency whir that sounds like a string trimmer, whereas this one doesn't have that. So I wonder if these blades are not the same. This has a totally different sound to it. And that might be what's throwing me off. No, the medium is definitely slower. The low is a little faster on that one. But I think the high is the same now. The bearings, you see how stiff the bearings are on that? We got to go through the bearings again. I don't know. I think that we have an additional variable here, and the variable is that the blades are not identical. And so I'm basing it off the sound of the other one, but the blades don't make the same sound, which is kind of weird because I would have thought, if anything, the blade with all those tags on it would have made the annoying whirring sound, but this one that's clean does not make the sound. Well, the mystery continues. I've almost got the switch fixed. That one contact inside the switch is causing a problem, and I need to figure out how to correct that. I think the way I'm going to correct it is just to put a I'm going to double up the thickness of the wire, re-tin it, and then that should do it. Because it just needs a larger, something larger to grab onto, and then that should solve that problem. And then we're going to go through the bearings again and see. Maybe this time I'll use 3-in-1 oil. See if it likes that oil better. I have found that with certain motors, certain oils do make a difference, so maybe we'll try that. It's interesting. This is very, very interesting. I didn't realize how yellowed this one is. It's kind of funny because when you see it by itself for all those years, the yellowing happens so slowly that you don't really realize it. But then when you put it up against the stark white one over here, it looks awful. But what is nice is that the plastic, even though it's yellowing, it seems to still have its integrity. It's not getting brittle. So I guess this handle broke at some point too when it's been glued. Well, that's it for today's episode of What the Heck is Going On Here. We've almost learned how to fix the switch, and we've learned that the blades are not identical, whether that be because of the heat exposure and time or because of manufacturing. I don't know. It could very well be a combination of both. But the next step is we're going to fold the wire over, re-tin it so it's thicker, stick that back in the switch, and hopefully that solves that. And then we're going to go through the bearings again, do another service, very meticulously clean everything out, and we'll go from there.